Lansky, which makes sense because it's 2 a.m. So.
And you're already growing your Santa beard.
Yeah, man, it's coming in. I thought I was coming in late, but no. Apparently, I'm already doing what happened with one of my favorite videos that Kai ever shot. I'm already there. I'm already to the point where I'm not presentable.
Well, Santa, and we're live. And Danny was just saying something that were good words, so I'm going to recap it real quick for the live stream. That she was just reiterating our initial intent was that we would have monthly unicorn meeting where we explain what milestones we donated to and why, and like how that conversation flows into the roles process, and using that as a way to reflect on which roles we feel good about giving money to and which are effective, which aren't. So thank you, Danny, for that reminder. And I interrupted you right before you were about to say the other thing. I wanted to go live, and now you can do the other thing.
Okay, great. So yeah, I would like to just have 3 rounds with us and go through the 3 main pieces that we've committed to talking about on a regular basis, which is who and what we donated to, what we're learning about our roles, and then what we're paying ourselves and why. And then if we have time after those 3 rounds, I'd also like to have another talk about how this works in the DAP right now, and if there's anything we can adjust in what we're doing on a weekly or monthly basis that would make that process easier. So I think it's time for us to have some check-ins. Who would like to start?
I can start.
Does anyone actually? Okay, great.
I am back in Barcelona. Just got here the day before yesterday. Super happy to be home, and I wish you were all with us. And a little overwhelmed with projects. Really thankful to Danny for doing some leading on this meeting. And but yeah, for the moment in this hour, I'm not distracted, and for me, that's a great intention to actually just go with our originally proposed unicorn meeting purpose that Danny reiterated. I'll pass it to Chris. You want to check in?
Sure. Yeah, so my intention is to go with you guys through the agenda that Danny sent. That makes a lot of sense. And my distraction is actually, I'm heavily distracted because my brother just dropped off 2 cats. And one of them is attacking my cat. So they're very much at ease. So I have to I might run away suddenly, and that's because I have to get them out of each other's hair. And I give it to Griff.
Yeah, I'm a little distracted by chats and chatter, and I think this is the 4th hour of meetings in a row after flying back from Barcelona, so I'm a little tired, or flying back from New York. I'm not really sleeping last night, so I'm kind of just excited for this day to be over. I can go to bed. So that's a little distracting. But yeah, no real intentions to the meeting, just trying to hang out and feel the pulse. I'll pass it to Bum.
Good morning, everybody, or whatever time it is, where you're at. I am looking forward to hearing everybody's stuff today, and I don't really have any distractions, except I have to take my cat to the vet, and I have to ship off some audio gear to Dan for the art car, so it will sound awesome. It's really cool because it'll let us actually tune the PA with a phone from out in front of the car when we're listening to it. So it's actually a really, really cool piece of gear. Anyway, so with that, I will pass it over to Kai.
Oh, hey guys. It's evening here. I'm not distracted. Coming from a great festival, full of energy. First good internet in some time. So, getting back to whatever needs to be done in our summer break. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this meeting. Interesting to do more as a unicorn. Let's talk about what we do as unicorns. And I give it to Dani, I think. Ladies and
Is
gentlemen.
there anyone who didn't go? Is Lansky here?
He's
Did we
not
get
here.
Lansky to? Okay, so that's everyone. Okay, so I'm very distracted just because I put out a lot of information over the weekend, and now all of a sudden in the last hour, everybody wants to message me back. But I'm really happy that we're having this meeting. It's part of the important learning process of the Unicorn DAC as we're modeling this and learning what we learn and then reiterating and feeding it back. And we had the one meeting where we really just talked about how it feels being in this with the changes that we're in right now. So now we've had a little bit of time to settle that in. And I think it's really important to actually walk through what we're doing and why, and see if anything else needs to change from that. So let's go ahead and dive into the agenda. I guess since I shared what the agenda is, does anyone have any questions or something else that they feel like needs to be discussed as part of the agenda here? Okay. So I think the best way to do this is to just go into the Unicorn DAC spreadsheet. I don't know if we need to share it, if that makes sense with the live stream, or if we can just go into it and maybe filter on the giver on the unicorn's name and go around so we can chat. Would that be helpful for you guys, or do you feel like you can just take a look at it and speak to what you've been donating to for the last month or so? I don't know that we need to.
I don't think I need the filtration. I think for me, I feel like I could give my impression.
Awesome. How would you feel about going first?
Oh, I could do that. Okay, so the past month I have been okay. So like this past week, I delegated to Frederick because he built something for me that I asked for, and I made a promise to him that I would make sure his milestone got paid if he did this work, which was creating the ability to schedule messages with the chatbot in Riot. Amazing, makes my life easier, and I really appreciate that ability with the Unicorn DAC. Like I feel like I have the authority over 600 die a week. So if something is going to be smaller than that, I feel like I have the power to sign off on that, basically, as long as it's something that's benefiting Giveth. I have the power without asking any advice process to just manage that project and say completely in private chats like, yo, I will make sure you get paid. And then it happens. And then other things, I've just been like going to the milestones to fund sheet and finding whoever has like a large milestone. And I usually go in and check on the sheet to see, okay, well, even if the delegation isn't there already, I usually try and check and see if other people have allocated a bunch for that person so that I'm not doubling up. And it has felt pretty mundane. Just, yeah, like it's not a passionate exercise really. I was excited for the opportunity with Frederick because it feels like I really am guiding with my delegation, which is the original intent, but otherwise it's just maintenance. And I do have a hard time wanting to delegate to certain people. I don't know if this is like, yeah, I always feel super weird about doing this on live stream, but I guess like radical transparency, I feel more excited about delegating to Andre than to George, for example. And I feel more excited about delegating to like non-DAP givethers, like other than Michael. And I just have been, yeah, I think that that's been a bias that's been affecting me lately. So it's worth saying. Yeah, but I can pass it on. Kai, do you want to go next?
If you want to explain, I just wanted to know if you meant like that you valued work on the DAP more, or that you have a bias on individual.
No, it's more individuals. Like, okay, obviously Jorge, George, and Andre are both working on the DAP, but I feel like Andre is doing a better job. So I think I've been more inclined to fund him rather than George.
It's so for me, it's interesting. I think it's an old problem of really how you talk about stuff. And I'm, like Andre is very, always open and very fiery, and he's like very much go, go, go. Where if you ask Andre to do something, he'll be like, yeah, man, I do it, man. And if you ask Jorge, he'll be like, and that was really RJ's concern all the time, to have these kind of milestones that would be, valued on the individual's personality, or like it would have some effect. So it's interesting. I do, so in my delegations the last month, I've also supported the DAP most. It's just because I generally want to support whoever I think is doing a lot at the moment, but I cannot do it anymore because I think many people are doing a lot at the moment. We ended up in a constellation where many people do lots of stuff, and maybe there's a question always sometimes if it's really necessary or whatever, but people usually always have the reasons. So it's easy to honor the people who work on a DAP. I really have a problem maybe that it's very hard to reward Lorelei, for example, because she doesn't make any milestones. And so it's very hard to give like to the whole group. I've noticed that there are not many delegations these last weeks, but it's a slow time. It's just maybe bad for payouts. One interesting thing is that many people ordered these business cards, and I made the milestone like a few weeks ago, and nobody feels like they want to reimburse the private expense of these things, which is okay. If you don't want to pay it, like they're my friends' cards. But it was interesting to see that for some reason, like an expense is not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's against the rules. I don't know. I'm not so sure about the rules, what to fund anymore. But apart from that, like for me, it's always on and off. Sometimes I feel it's a very cool thing, the whole experience, and sometimes I feel like it's weighing on me. I do feel very much like part of the process, although I still feel that as a community, we are not yet there where we would say, okay, we make decisions for you as a community. In terms of even like what should be developed, or like how is development shaped, what do we need? Overall, I think it's a cool thing. I was sounded a bit fatalistic the last time you asked me. It's not like that. It's just really up and down for me. So different week, different opinion, I guess. By the way, I love your shirt, Griff, so I'll give it to you, I think, which is interesting. It's great. I really love what Donnie started here. It's this. It's one of the things. Like if I can have another 15 seconds, where I was always thinking, it's so great what they get from us, like they get like your full effort and like a whole channel with feedback. And I always hope that this is kind of circular, and it seems like there is more to come from this relationship. It's a relationship. So that's interesting for me. And now I give it to you, Griff.
Yeah. So I think I would guess that just to jive off of and respond to some of the things, I'm guessing that the reason the expanse is being slowed is because like no one got the business cards. So like, it's kind of like I haven't seen them, but I just got here in Barcelona now,
You should
right?
ask him, no, which is fine, but you should ask him. I think he got the package.
Yeah, he got the package, but no one in the Unicorn DAC has actually seen the business cards yet. But I think once they, I think that's why it's being delayed, is because it didn't work out, like the mission was not perfect. And so that's what happens sometimes, but obviously it will get paid. And then, what was the other thing that you said? There was another big subject you had that I was going to jive off of, but the things that I've been donating to have mostly been catching up big milestones. I actually stopped doing Unicorn DAC for a couple weeks because I went in maybe a little bit earlier in the month and kind of just like closed out a bunch of milestones that I could that were kind of old for people. Like Michael had a really old one, Jeff had a bunch, and I just kind of like try to get as much that was up there current, and then I just kind of stepped away for a while. As far as like, oh yeah, as far as like how much level of interaction we have with development and these kinds of things, it's like, we were doing the voting on issues, and like we're very issue driven. So like really anyone who makes issues gets to decide what we develop as far as the DAC goes. And then we have we have like a few other ways where it's like it's open, but the thing is it's bureaucratic. Everything is so bureaucratic, and that's the biggest challenge, right? So nothing's really easy. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I find myself donating mostly to the stuff that I work on, the DAP and then Jeff's and like the common stack stuff, and then whatever else when there's a fire, I try to put it out. But yeah. Hey, my phone died, so you can just let me go. Lola.
I don't know what that means.
You didn't pass it on either, Chris or Bowen.
I can go. Yeah. So I think when I look at the past month, I donated quite a bit to Jeff, and that's also a bit for two reasons. Because I've been working a lot with Jeff lately, and also like it was a bit the feedback Jeff gave in the Lumio, and he also told it to me personally. He said like, if I show up less in meetings, I feel that like people tend to fund my milestones less, and I'm really, even when I'm not with the unicorns, I'm really working really hard, and I'm just like, it feels that I have to talk really loud in order to get paid, and I don't like that. So to me that was like, oh no, that's not what we want. So I tried to like focus a little bit more on him. What else? Yeah, and for the rest, like I tried to divide it over all the milestones that are up there. What else is there to say about this? I haven't taken up the 150 myself for the last month, and I don't see myself doing that in the foreseeable future either.
We'll definitely talk about that part in another round, Chris. I want to keep this first round focused on what we're donating to and why.
Cool. Then what else? Yeah, when it comes to like the DAP people, yeah, I also have a tendency to donate more to Andre, but that's just because I don't know George, but I think I donated to him once. Yeah, for the rest, I just try to spread it out a bit. Not a lot to say there. Yeah, and I give it to Bowen. Oh, sorry. Maybe one thing. There is this still huge milestone open by Michael. So that one, I can honestly say, because that was part of the question in the agenda. It's like I'm skipping that one a little bit deliberately, because it's even if it's like halftime for this period. I have not seen Michael that much and not seeing doing that much. So that's one I'm like deliberately skipping a little bit. I guess that's also feedback I wanted to give. And I give it to Bowen.
Let's see. So I tend to weight what I'm donating to you know, whatever it needs to get funded. Which seems, you know, it changes all the time, but looking back, it looks like I've been weighting toward George and Andre a bit, and yeah, I just try to make sure that if there's anything that I can do to kick people's milestones out, that I can do it. Just trying to make sure that everybody gets paid. And that's about it for me.
I wanted to say one that I keep skipping is this George one, because I'm just not sure if it's supposed to be paid out. Like there was this like I kept wanting to donate to it, and then there was Lorelai kept saying that it wasn't for the right amount or something.
Yeah, that milestone was incorrect for so long, and so many rounds of like, hey, this is wrong. It's been slowing down the Unicorn DAC delegations for like 6 weeks. Dude, I need you to fix it. Michael, I need you to help him fix it. And like yeah, I think that was a big point of frustration for me with George, was like him not really putting attention towards that. He finally, like maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, actually fixed it so that he added April in to make it so that the amount he was requesting was for 3 months and not for 2. That's why it was way too big. It was too much for 2 months. So then he finally added April into it, and it can be delegated to now.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and share my feedback, and then also address a couple of things I heard. So like the George milestone, for example, when it was determined that it wasn't a valid milestone, did it stay on the spreadsheet? Should we have like strike through that one? Or like if we know that there's a milestone that's questionable that's up there, I feel like we can help each other out by either commenting it or removing it from the funding list, because I think that probably really added to or compounded the problem through weeks or something right there.
Yeah.
I know. Do you want to say something to that, Lo?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
I think in regards to that, like what's really required here is me being a lot stricter with Unicorn DAC rules in general, like because I do a lot of trying to accommodate people when it seems like it's some sort of problem in the DAP or some sort of accident someone made. I'll be like, hey, like you put the wrong link in, or hey, this milestone like seems like it's for the wrong amount of time. But that takes so much time, and it's it's actually outside of the rules that we set forth originally in the Unicorn DAC, as far as I know it. And I think I need to be more hardcore and just be like, if upon me first looking at that line in the sheet, if there's anything wrong with it, then that delegation is not happening. And like, tough luck. It's not like the money disappeared. It's still like, you could still do it next week. But yeah, I get a little pushback from people on that, and I also feel guilty. But it really slows down the whole thing. So I don't know, maybe in later rounds, people can say if they're okay with that or not, me being stricter. You don't have to respond right now, but I just wanted to say that's probably the only way to fix this, problems like this.
Yeah, so when I'm delegating, I mean, I'll be the first to say I feel like I'm probably an overachiever on this area. Like it does seem to be growing over time. Like first, I look at what's listed on the to be funded, and like sometimes I think I made a mistake. The sticker one that needed to be funded, I thought I clicked on that and saw that it was already listed in the spreadsheet, but those funds hadn't been committed, actually followed through yet. So I didn't donate to it because I thought I saw that it had already been covered by somebody else. So besides looking at what milestones are already listed in the to fund and going and looking at them, seeing how much has already been donated, then scrolling through the past week to 3 weeks that hasn't actually been officially delegated yet, and see if anybody donated to that milestone, and then doing math and figuring out, okay, how do I actually finish this one and move it down to the already funded list? Like that's a process that I go through regularly. Then I go look in the circle campaigns and see if there's work being done that that isn't listed in here. Has somebody created a milestone that no unicorns have put it onto this list yet? So I actively look for those and try to get those moved in and move things that have been funded down if I find that they have been. And almost every week I find some sort of maintenance to do in that realm. So I feel like I'm pretty diligent, and I go back and I look at my previous weeks to see what I've funded and who I've funded and which milestones could be completed that I can take the time to do the math. I feel like I have a little more bandwidth to do those things, and this role is like where I really get a lot of joy out of seeing who's working on what, how it's advancing Giveth, and encouraging contributions and contributors to keep contributing. So I kind of do a really holistic look at this when I do it each week. Did we lose somebody? Or me?
Yeah, Chris, disconnected. Oh, what's the question?
Okay, I wasn't looking and I heard down, so I thought maybe I'd been talking to myself.
No. I heard everything. Oh,
Okay, good.
we found the business cards. I think so.
Yeah.
Cards, which I just put into the sheet, and I will stop talking now.
I just
mean,
ended it, by the way.
Yeah, I noticed it just disappeared. I went to see it. I'm like, oh, it's not there now. But it's a tricky thing. Like there's little things like spreadsheet just management. Like when you click on the link to the milestone, you have to make sure you click the little arrow guy to open the right milestone. Sometimes I open the wrong milestone. I end up accidentally clicking on the link above or the row above the one I meant to. And then I put the wrong one into the spreadsheet. So like from a process standpoint, I even go back and have to double click on the link that I pasted into the spreadsheet and make sure it's actually what I intended it to be, because there's a lot of points of failure in the whole process right now. So that's kind of my experience in the funding side. I appreciate folks taking the time to speak to which milestones speak to us and which ones we don't. I feel like it would be really valuable if we had a little bit more open asynchronous dialogue around this. Lorelei, the comments that you put in on the right side of the spreadsheet you know, I try to go back and take a look and see what you've said about things in the previous week. But I know most people don't have the time that I do to actually look at all of this really closely. I feel like it would be beneficial if those of us who are delegating, maybe we could be a little more active in the Unicorn DAC spreadsheet and even speak out some of these things where I'm like, hey, I actively chose this milestone or chose not to fund this milestone for these reasons, so that we can support each other in those decisions and say, is this just me? Am I observing this? While I wouldn't want, you know, that feeling where Jeff says, if I don't show up at the meeting, I don't get funded. But there's other ways we can do that too, just by encouraging and supporting one another, I guess.
I mean, I think that there's always this thing where if you don't put out a milestone for a long time and then you put a big one, it's like, oh, you know, it's almost discouraging, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, is creating our milestones is testing the DAP, and we can tell who's actively creating, you know, using the DAP and making milestones and working, because we see some issues in GitHub or hear people asking about it. And those are the things that catch my ear, you know, when I see people are actively trying and reporting stuff. That's what's advancing Giveth to me. So those are the things I look for. So the second round of conversation, sorry, I'm looking for my link, Unicorn DAC, is
The roles part.
Yeah, so I guess that's the other question. So a few folks went into, hey, I fund the DAP more or that. I'd love to do a round on how, what are we noticing about, I mean, I guess that the last few months we had the retreat and it's been a little quiet, but any thoughts about what roles are really vital and what we're working on right now? Or Lorelei, maybe I could ask you to speak to that intention just a little bit more, because the way it's written is understanding how well our roles are working and not working, and incorporating that into the onboarding and offboarding processes.
Yeah. So I would say this is just the time to, like, if you had any of those feelings of like, oh, I have a hesitance to delegate to this person, you know, like if you have any people or roles like that, maybe in this round you could describe that a little bit more, and like what you're disappointed by and what does it mean. You know, does it mean that we should have a conversation about somebody or with someone about charging less for a period of time? Does it mean that we should talk with someone about, you know, prioritizing one of their roles over a different role? I think we've all had these feelings come up when we see these people available to delegate to each week. And this, to me, is the space to talk about that, and especially like if you think there are action steps to come out of that. And I would just welcome people to be open. And we haven't had very strong roles processes in many months, and I think that this group of unicorns, is a safe space, and that we're able to like kind of get to the point here. So I will say I welcome anything anyone has to say. If you guys want to tell me my roles are not doing well, it's a good thing Lorelei doesn't make milestones, because I wouldn't want to delegate to him. You could throw that at me, you know. This is like an okay space. And yeah, I definitely have some comments to share on that, but I don't really want to go first.
I don't have anything for like a specific role. I'm mostly interested in how we deal with roles process itself. And we have too many, and we know that we have too many. And it's like this, it's almost a situation where If I could choose, I would say, okay, tabula rasa, we start again. Because it's always simpler to start again. But we just did that basically with your initiative. I don't know really where it comes from. It's probably because we are not managing a budget really together. It would be hell interesting if we had, like, this headroom, and we could say, because I really don't feel like we are wasting resources. It's just like we have a very wide scope, and how there are so many interesting things to work on, and so many things to improve, and then you do a service for somebody else in Ethereum space or whatever. Like it just never, the work never stops, and the challenges never stop. And I think we have great roles for that. There are some stale ones, sure. I think we had some talks in Barcelona about this. I did talk a lot with the writers, because like the writer for me was a non-role, for example. And so I was trying to talk about the writer's role and be like, well, everybody is potentially a writer, and many people of us did publish one or two or whatever number of blog posts already, but there are real there are people in our community, and it's their profession. Like Adam, for example, it's his profession, so he will be better usually in quality than the rest of us, but still doesn't warrant the role. So I said maybe go with an advisor, writer role, and these are probably the kind of roles we don't, where we should be careful with, like, what mode are we in? What is the current thing? But the mode for the foreseeable future is ultra scarcity, and this fucks with my head, because in ultra scarcity, I think myself of if I should stay. I don't know if you ask yourself this question. It's not for me, it's for you, or I don't know. It's for I always have this challenge with myself. About the whole thing, like how to find the next, what will I choose next to work on, which problem is it really needed, and it goes so far as to be like question, like, even the need for whatever I do, and every time I come to the same conclusion, which is everything else is more expensive. So no, but I don't know. So I don't know.
You mean anyone else we could get to do your job is more expensive than you would? Is that what you're saying?
That's probably the truth. That's probably the truth. But it's not cheap to keep me around, but it's also more expensive to get rid of me. And I'm just talking about myself because it's very comfortable, because I can talk about myself in this regard. And if I go external and I look at anybody else, I don't see much room for, like, cutting slack or whatever. I do feel we have not many people working on a lot of stuff, and I always hope that it's well chosen. But even every time when I thought in the moment, well, I don't know if that's so important, really every time, a few weeks down the line, I was like, oh, that's why we did it. That doesn't make so much sense now, but it was just never explained that well. But it's very hard to explain strategy and intention, and gut feeling, has no place in these kind of things. So long story short, I don't think, from my side, I think we do a great job. It would just be better to work under, like, we should have built in a form of recuperation for the organization to not deal with these crazy scarcity issues, because I think that's really where the pudding is always. It's not the people, it's not the roles. And I pass it to whoever wants to take it.
I am going to say we have 15 minutes left, and I really want to have the round where we talk about how we're delegating to ourselves. So from speaking to the roles right now, I feel like there's a larger conversation to be had about that, because one of the things that did come out of Barcelona is that anything we prioritize as our work right now would be things that help us drive funding. And so to me, that's prioritized the DAP a little bit, because getting the DAP into a place where a donor can interact with it without cussing is really, really important. And improving our communications to get that word out is really, really important. And almost everything else has fallen off of importance to me personally. So if anyone else has anything to speak about roles, I know you do, Lorelei. Bowen, do you have any thoughts?
I don't have anything specific, actually. And I thought that there was a completely separate meeting for the rules thing, so I was a little bit confused that we were talking about it here.
Cool.
But I can just in the sake of expedience just hand it off.
It's okay if you don't.
The next person, yeah.
Great. Chris, did you have anything that you're not speaking up that you would like a moment to say on this topic?
And I was going to say we could mash together the self and other roles section.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
yeah. So I just wanted to respond to something that Kai said, that like we have so many things to do, and our mission is very broad. I think that is the kind of thing, that's why we came together in Barcelona, to actually get that a little bit more clear, what our goal is, and what is maintenance, and what is like growing ourselves, or whatever term it was we used. And so I think there is not just anything that we should be doing, and I feel a little bit the same as what Danny said there, that really getting the DAP up to speed, looking at anything that can be funding, and getting the message about Giveth out is right now a priority, and all the rest to me also seems like less important. So it's like, just to give, and I have like an endless list of things to do, and I feel actually that I have like lacking a little bit of energy, because I do feel that like some people are not, because there is this scarcity, and I do feel that there are some people who are like feeling that scarcity less, or not really acting up on it. It's just to give an example, like the Panvala grants are coming out, and it's like, I'm like, is anyone like applying for this, and have we applied? And I'd love to do it, but I already have this endless list. And then so I do hope that like people who are not working on developing the DAP, or like putting communication out there, that they can work on very specific funding things. Yeah, cool. So that's my feedback, I guess, for now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can give some specific feedback too. I'll try to keep it quick, but I think that there are some pieces that are being deprioritized, and for a good reason. Like, I don't know, social coding has had its ups and downs, but it's really in a downslope, and like there was an opportunity for the summer to really attack it, but it's probably better that we didn't, honestly, because it doesn't drive funding. So, you know, it's hard to be motivated about things that don't drive funding. But in general, I'd say that's really lacking in social coding. And then we also have, like, I think, and straight up, Bowen probably, I think he could have been more active, or trying to get specific projects or something for that, in that role. And I also think like Michael has been really, you know, the role of project manager in the DAP has been like a constant challenge and struggle, as well as Jorge or George. I mean, both of them have in their roles, like they've been over-promising, under-delivering, basically. So it's been really challenging. I think Jeff had a big down slump for a while as well, but like then he's been taking it to another level in the last few months, and so it's not like these things go in waves. So like lately I've been really like looking at the common stack as the big funding method, and that's where I'm putting most of my energy and trying to make sure that as much as that can go through, because that's like a 200K grant. Like Panvala, I think we had discussions about Panvala, but it was like very much not a it was
Not a strong prospect.
Well, it's not money. It's fake tokens. Like they don't have a value for their token at all.
Oh.
So it's hard to like want to prioritize it when it's like it's a game. It's fun to participate as the governance experiments, but I don't know that it's going to work. So it's hard to want to put energy there. So those are my thoughts on at least what I thought the intention of this Wolves piece was.
Yeah, I can speak to this. So I, let's see. Yeah, I definitely feel disappointed, but I already said this, but like George and Michael, there was a period of time when I was feeling disappointed by Jeff, and like really that disappointment being attached to like feeling nervous about paying for their hours when I felt like we had people like, I don't know, I think about Chris a lot, like being in a situation where you need money and also like you are so available all the time. Like I've never seen your daily work schedule at home, but I just feel like you work really hard. Like I feel like I can tell because you're very available, and like Danny as well. And I mean, just everybody else besides them who is like being really humble and deprioritizing themselves, while other people were kind of coming in with this naivety understandable naivete about Giveth because they're new or whatever, and just thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna like take all this pay, like, and not understanding the context of the sacrifices other people are making. Like that has made me feel really yucky in the past several months. And I also was feeling like people weren't being honest with feedback in the roles meetings. And so to me, that felt like a big, like a waste of time and hours almost, because I would put so much process in and people would come to the meeting and just say nice things, even when they were thinking other things. Myself, I feel like I have like definitely disappointed on the roles process role that I have in the past few months. And in general, I've been my extra credit time, I feel like has been more common stack, and I feel like I've been just being a Giveth maintainer and doing like what I need to do, but not above and beyond. And so I haven't been giving myself the 150, except for a couple of weeks during the past few months where I was like, oh my God, I worked so hard on Giveth this whole week, and then I asked for it. Let's see. I keep reflecting back on when I came into Giveth, and the original proposal was like, yeah, everybody gets like 600 euro a week, and we're expected to work about 25, 30 hours a week. And it was chill, man. I was like, and I wonder, was I that naive person coming in and not understanding the context, or was it just ETH was bountiful? Or like, was it just that I didn't have as much to do because I was new? I don't know, but I felt like I was getting paid for so much more for so much less work and life sacrifice than I have been lately. So that's been, yeah, a struggle for me, and I don't know, it makes me think maybe we should kind of change our policy to have like an entry regular rewards level and a later on one, because I think naturally people aren't going to have as much when they're first getting acclimated. Okay, so many thoughts, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, we only have 6 minutes. Maybe what we can do is combine. Let's do our checkout, and then in our checkout, if you want to share anything about what you've been giving to yourself and why, we can give each other about 1.5 minutes for that to go around.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk first because I want to really say to Lorelai that I'm really so happy that you do all these games with the roles process, and it's crazy for me that you think you're failing, but they don't call it cat herding for no reason. It's they're people, not sheep. Yeah, and you wish you could force them and let dad tell you it never works like this. You have to be incentivizing nicely, and even then forget it basically. But I think I really like that you are not letting go of the bone. It's just a very hard thing, and it's so integral to the whole model that actually should be more from all of us, more effort put into it, but because it's so exhausting, probably we don't.
Kai, we only have 6 minutes though.
I know, but I felt like this needed to be said. I don't have to tell much about my own. I give myself like whatever I was made up the regular reward for these last weeks where I've been on holiday. It's gonna be less for depending on the week, and for what I really give myself is time. I think with my family and not work so much, and I think it's summer, so it's okay. There's not much going on now. So. And I will be reflected in pain, of course. And please, somebody go. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, you want to go next? Maybe we can go.
Sure.
Go around the horn.
Yeah, I haven't given myself the 150. Yeah, for the last 4 to 6 weeks. I something like that. It depends. It's only when yeah, for example. No, I haven't, and I've also been giving, but I still need to make milestones for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and for those I've also given myself like somewhere between 300 and 700, depending on the week, because I was available, but I haven't really put in the hours, and I don't want to feel guilty all the time, and there's just scarcity. So I'm trying to really only charge the hours that I'm actually working right now, which makes it like financially difficult for myself, but at the same time I don't have to like worry about it that I charge too much to Giveth, and that's like it feels more just to me, and it's then also easier to give feedback to others. Yeah, and I give it to Danny.
Yeah, I give myself my 150 every week. And I feel like this is the part of what I'm doing that I really enjoy doing, is seeing is this.
You don't give yourself your 150 every week. You use it to pay for your regular salary. The 150 is supposed to be additional.
Okay, that's where I was going to go next. Is I feel like sometimes I put more effort into all of the stuff that I consider part of my unicorn DAC role than some of the other roles. That there's maybe some key deliverables that in my other roles that I have my regular rewards with, maybe I feel a little bit deficient in that area, even though I'm around and I'm putting in a lot of time and energy and presence all of the time. I still am very hypercritical of myself and feeling like if I buckled down and applied myself to certain things, that there would actually be outcomes and deliverables towards some of these things that I care about. So right now, I have been giving my 150 to fund my own milestones to A, make sure they pay out on a timely basis, and B, because Otherwise, I probably wouldn't take the full 700 on my regular awards. I would be asking for less on my regular award and taking the 150. So at this time, that's what I'm doing. When I'm yeah, so that's why I give myself the 150, but I give it to my regular reward milestone in a balance to acknowledge that I feel like I could be doing more tangible work product, but also because I want my milestones to pay out on a consistent basis, and they just wouldn't if I didn't give it to myself. And Bowen.
Okay, I guess I could say that I echo a lot of your statements there, and also Chris's. When there have been periods of down and stuff, I've attempted to reduce my rewards as much as possible, and I think I've only taken the 150 once, maybe twice, and every other time I've just applied it to milestones that I had up, because I thought it was more fair to do that, at least personally, to me. It was more fair to do that than it was to like have a whole other milestone for the amount of work that I was putting into just delegating funds to other people. And just a quick thing, RE Social Coding, we started a new thing where we're going to do show and tells every 2 weeks for a while, instead of trying to get people to show up to the meetings, which really nobody seemed to be interested in doing. But the moment that we had hey, come look at this, then we got a big turnout, and the videos up on that. So that's that should hopefully help, kick this thing in the ass and get it moving a little better. Other than that, I think that's all I have to say. Griff?
Yeah, actually, I watched the Bright ID show and tell. It's pretty awesome, and I mean, I think it is a great move to push that forward. But also, social coding just doesn't have a monetary stream potential unless there's a lot of work to put into it. So, and right now we're Burning Man, so I'm happy to have you on Burn. Yeah, I mean, I don't do I don't pay myself anything, so I'm just hanging out. And check out, I think that I would love to see more roles meetings, and because this is always helpful to get a like a temperature check. Instead of, I feel like we're always just kind of avoiding these topics, so it's nice just to have any opportunity to say it. Did you go already, Laura?
No. But I kind of said my bit earlier on about what I was paying myself. What was I going to say here? I guess I just I want to say I really appreciated this meeting, and I don't feel like there was super clear, tangible outcomes from this meeting, and I actually really appreciate that. Like, it feels so good to me to have a meeting where we just talk about stuff, and I feel like people were honest here, and we got back to like original process design for these meetings. And this felt really important to me, and sometimes it's nice as a human to just like breathe into the group that you work with and not feel like, feel like we can just communicate without worrying that we have to produce something out of every moment of energy we put in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I just, from that outcome perspective, can I just say that decentralized governance, this is a really critical, oh, I see baby. Sorry, baby. Decentralized governance is peer-to-peer. These spaces for us to share peer-to-peer our own decision-making process are vital to the success of the process, because how we move forward is formed by the reflections of what we've heard from one another and had the space to share and hear ourselves say out loud. So thank you, every one of you, for participating in that process, because it is that participation is the outcome. So we did it.
Yay.
Right
Oh.
on.
All right.
For the
Thanks,
Facebook,
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah. Anybody have any last thoughts? We can turn off the live stream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have to do it more often.
Bye bye.